This is Ed Schultz News and Commentary coming to you on this Wednesday edition. Thanks for the view. Thanks for the download. You can get it at WeGotEd.com, RawStory.com, and RingOfFireRadio.com. All right, now, these are two stories that I think parallel one another that are total confusion, but also an example of how the Republicans are completely out of touch with the American people. Do you see any demonstrations across the country to get rid of Obamacare? Do you see people in the streets saying, let's just turn this around? No. What I see is people in the streets trying to make sure that the cops don't shoot minorities. I mean, that's what's happening in this country right now, is there's somewhat of a social rebellion about policing in this country. I don't see him going after Obamacare. So Kevin McCarthy is the majority leader. And this is what he says about what the American people want as far as Congress doing work.
Well, I think change does make a difference. I think Paul Ryan is doing a tremendous job. You get a generational change coming forward. I think the American people have spoken to those that are sitting in Congress and realize they got to get their work done. And there's an opportunity. Structure dictates behavior.
Okay, that's the key. That's the key. Get their work done. Well, let me tell you what they're working on. Right now, of course, we know where the House stands on getting rid of Obamacare. Right now, they're talking about reconciliation in the Senate to get rid of Obamacare, to send it to the president and force him to veto it. So who steps to the plate? Good old Bernie Sanders on the Senate floor yesterday, just pointing out a minor statistic.
What this legislation does is move us in exactly the wrong direction. It would throw more than 17 million Americans off of health insurance by gutting the Affordable Care Act. So we have a health care crisis, and this bill makes the crisis much worse.
And we all know that the Republicans do not have a replacement at all. So 17 million Americans seeing them get rid of their health care. Is that the work of the American people that McCarthy is talking about? These people make shit up is what they do. And they say, well, this is what the American people want. No, they don't. There's no march anywhere. There's no march anywhere to privatize Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. It's just them ramrodding through their ideology and their philosophy on how they want the country run. So this kind of stuff doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence that we're going to see a budget resolution where we're going to be able to make sure that the government doesn't shut down. Planned Parenthood and Syrian refugees are going to come front and center in the 11th hour on December 10th. For more on that, let's go to Congressman Tim Ryan, who's on the House Budget Committee. Tim, good to have you with us.
Big Eddie's fired up this morning.
Well, if I'm wrong, brother, tell me. Straighten me out. What do you think?
Nah, I agree with you 1,000%. And I hope cooler heads prevail. We still have this group in the House. We talked about this last time I was on your show. There's still this group of extremists in the House that are driving that Planned Parenthood and the refugees and all of these issues. And, again, they don't mind shutting the government down. I'm hoping that we can find some way to thread the needle here. And you were talking about Obamacare. I find it hilarious if it wasn't so sad. But we just got a report out just yesterday saying that Obamacare has saved 87,000 lives from spittal mistakes that have happened over the years. Since 2010, we've saved 87,000 lives and $20 billion not spent on extra medical care because of what's happening in the Affordable Care Act, and because they have reduced the number of mistakes that have been made in hospitals over the last 4 years. So here's a perfect example of, wait a minute, you don't want to save 87,000 lives. You don't want to save $20 billion in the kind of care that we have to give after mistakes are made. And that's what would happen if they repealed Obamacare. So these guys, as you said, they just make stuff up. They keep trying to hit their base. The Republican presidential primary has dragged all these guys, even if they're semi-moderate, have to be extremely conservative at this point.
Congressman, here's what we don't hear from the Republicans. If they want to get rid of Obamacare, they don't step to the plate and say, we have a better idea, we have a better way, we're going to do a better job with these 17 million people. In fact, we're going to get more people insured. I don't hear that. No. All I hear is get rid of it and let's turn it over to the insurance industry and they'll figure it out. That's basically where they are.
Right, exactly. And that's, they say, we will get the government out of the relationship between the doctor and the patient. And, we need to say, Get the insurance company out of the middle of that relationship, because there's a lot of people who would be getting a lot more care or better care if not for the insurance company saying, oh, no, we're not going to pay for that. Oh, no, we're not going to pay for that. We know it may cost more in the long run, but we're not paying for it. Someone else will.
Okay. All right.